Welcome back to AFT Dice Season 13. It is round three. It is the 9th of July, 2026. Let's get stuck into it. The first game of round three is Essendon versus Richmond. Let's play the match. And the scores will come up fairly quickly. Yes, final siren has gone, and Richmond has beaten Essendon by 16 points. Final scores: Richmond 15-14, 104 to Essendon 12-16, 88. All right. So that full-time score has displayed, and Richmond, they're back on the winners list compared to round two. All right, let's play the next game. It is Western Bulldogs versus Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. So it's game two for round three. And the final siren has gone, and Port Adelaide have beaten the Western Bulldogs on the road. Final scores 17-9, 111 Port Adelaide to Western Bulldogs 14-10, 94. All right. So in the last quarter, it was even. So Port Adelaide, they're back on top. They've won the first three games of the season. So they're on top at the moment with a winning streak of +3. All right, let's get stuck into the third game for round three. It is Brisbane versus St Kilda at the Gabba. Let's play the match, and we'll get the scores in a second. And the final siren has gone, and Brisbane have won by 11 points at the Gabba. Final scores: Brisbane 13-13, 91 to St Kilda 11-14, 80. So that's the third game down. Brisbane are back in the top 8 with 2 wins, 1 loss. St Kilda, they've lost their first 3 games of the season. All right, let's go to the match of the round for round 3. It is West Coast versus Geelong at Optus Stadium. Let's play the match. And the final siren has gone, and unbelievable game. Geelong have won by 1 point in the end. Final scores: West Coast 12-11, 83 to Geelong 12-12, 84. So that puts Geelong back on top with the first 3 wins of the season. What an unbelievable match. Geelong have gone over to Perth and beaten the Eagles on their home turf. All right, let's go to the 5th game of the round 3. It's North Melbourne versus GWS Giants at Marvel Stadium. And the final siren has gone, and North Melbourne have won by 7 points. Final scores: North Melbourne 18-9, 117 to GWS Giants 16-14, 110. So North Melbourne, they've got their 3 wins. So there's 3 teams with the first 3 wins of the season: Geelong, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide. And we've got Fremantle yet to come. So let's go to the 6th game of the round. So it's Hawthorn versus Carlton at Marvel Stadium. Let's go to play the match. Final siren has gone, and Carlton have won by 12 points. Carlton final scores 14-12, 96 to Hawthorn 12-12, 84. So in the end, it was won in the first quarter. Carlton, they kicked 6 goals, 6 to Hawthorn, 1-3, 9. But in the end, Carlton have won by 12 points. So that puts Hawthorn in 13th spot, and we've got Carlton, their first win of the season. All right, next game. It is game 7, Gold Coast Suns versus Adelaide at Metricon Stadium. So it is 17th or 18th versus 17th. Let's play the match. And waiting for the siren to go. And the final siren has gone, and it is a draw. Both teams tied at 104 points. Final scores: Gold Coast 15-14, 104 to Adelaide 16-8, 104. So it's the first draw of the season, which puts St Kilda on the bottom of the ladder, the only team that has no wins for the season so far. So Sydney versus Fremantle in game 8 at the SCG. Let's play the match to see who will win. And the final siren has gone, and Sydney have won by 20 points. Sydney 20-12, 132 to Fremantle 17-10, 112. So that puts Sydney with 2 wins for the season in 6th place. So they've won the last 2 games. Fremantle, they are in 4th place. So they've lost their first game of the season. So they were the only team we're waiting for to see what was going to happen. All right, so St Kilda, the only team without a win for the season. And we had Adelaide and Gold Coast with a draw. All right, last game of round 3. It is Collingwood versus Melbourne at the MCG. Let's play the match to see who will win. And the final siren has gone, and Melbourne have won by 18 points, 19-9, 123 Melbourne to Collingwood 16-9, 105. So that concludes round 3 for season 13. And the top 8 at the moment, we've got Geelong on top with North Melbourne and Port Adelaide winning their first 3 games for the season. And then Melbourne is 4th with that big win in round 1 against the Gold Coast Suns. And then the remaining 4 teams in the 8 are Fremantle, Richmond, Sydney, and Brisbane round out the 8. And then we've got St Kilda, who are on the bottom of the ladder with no wins. And we had our first draw for the season, Adelaide versus Gold Coast. The draw 104 at tied. So there you go. That has completed 27 games. So it's 3 rounds down, 14 to go. The next round, round 4, starts on the 13th of July, 2026. And we've got match of the round for round 4 is Geelong versus North Melbourne. So it's first versus second on the ladder. We'll see you next time on AFT Dice League Season 13. See you then.